Hi, my name is Lindsay Pliska, and I am your new case manager with Child Place. I'm very excited to be working with you, but before we really get started, there are some things that I would like to discuss with you. One of those being confidentiality. So the contents of a counseling session, intake information, or assessment, they're all considered confidential. Both verbal and written records about a client cannot be shared with another party without written consent from that client. So I just wanted to let you know that we do value your time and also privacy of your information. But there are some exceptions to that policy. So I'm going to go through some of those with you, and it might be a lot of information at once. So at the end of our time, I'll let you ask questions and we can go from there. So the first exception to the policy I wanted to discuss with you is it falls into a category we call a duty to warn and protect. So I'm going to explain that to you, but basically, it's when a client discloses to a staff member intentions or an actual threat of physical violence or other means of harm against an reasonably identified victim or victims, or evidences conduct, or makes statements indicating an imminent danger that the client will use physical violence or use other means to cause serious personal injury or death to others. The staff is then required to warn the intended victim or victims and get other outside authorities involved for the sake of safety. I wanted to emphasize that this isn't just about the safety of others, but also yourself. So if there is a potential threat or harm to oneself, such as suicide ideation, then we are also required to discuss that with other working professionals as well. The second one I would like to discuss with you is abuse or neglect of a child or vulnerable adult. So if a client states or suggests that he or she is abusing a child or neglecting a child or a vulnerable adult, or if they disclose they have recently abused or neglected a child or vulnerable adult, or if the adult or child is in danger of abuse or neglect, then the staff member is required to report the information to appropriate social service agency or potentially legal authorities. Another example of an exception to confidentiality would be prenatal exposure to controlled substances. So the therapist or caseworker is required to report admitted prenatal exposure to controlled substances that are potentially harmful. Another exception would be court orders. So Child Place is required to release records of a client when a court order has been placed. Another one I would like to discuss with you is insurance companies and Medicaid. So insurance companies and Medicaid are provided with necessary information needed to file a claim. The information they request may consist of the following, but not limited to: the type of services rendered, dates and time of service, diagnosis, treatment plans, progress of therapy, case notes, and summaries. Also, I would like to note that managed care companies that provide services on behalf of Indiana Medicaid require that mental health practitioners provide a client's primary care physician with the following information: an overview of the initial assessment, including diagnosis and treatment recommendations. So that information would also be disclosed to your primary care physician. Lastly, the last exception I would go over with you is supervision. So Child Place caseworkers and therapists are required to participate in direct face-to-face supervision as deemed appropriate by the state. The worker will be discussing cases with their direct supervisor as individuals, but also in group supervision on a regular basis. But I do want to reassure you that the information is kept in confidence, with the exception to what I've mentioned prior. So with all that being said, I just want to make sure that it makes sense to you. Like I said, I know it's a lot of information at once, so I want to make sure you understand your rights to confidentiality, and I want to answer any questions that you have regarding these limits of confidentiality.